Learning Time by TCTS Ministries. Perfect hate, yet perfect love. Romans chapter 9 verse 13 says, "As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated." Some may look at this verse in a conventional way of understanding hate to mean that God literally hated Esau with an absolute hate, which would then be inconsistent with the nature of who God is, in a contradiction to other verses claiming God to be a God of love, as in John chapter 3 verse 16, and in the 17th verse going on to say how he did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. To help with understanding Romans chapter 9 verse 13 in context, one will have to first understand the enduring nature of God as the originator of love, and according to 1 John chapter 4 verse 8, referencing him to as is love. This is the same eternal love that hath been extended and freely offered to anyone that believes, says John chapter 3 verse 16. This same love in Galatians chapter 5 verse 22, an attribute of his, being listed first of 9 fruit of his spirit that is to be desired and cultivated in the personal lives of every Christian. This gives reason to treat Romans chapter 9 verse 13 as nothing more than a hyperbole. In other words, an exaggerated statement or claim not meant to be taken literally. Therefore, God's hate for Esau should be understood as to mean being held in relative disregard in comparison with his feelings for Jacob, having nothing to do with human emotions. This same example is also used in Luke chapter 14 verse 26, when Jesus said, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple." Again, this does not mean to literally hate with an absolute hatred, but simply meaning in a sense of indifference to or relative disregard for them in comparison with his attitude toward God. James chapter 4 verse 4 goes on to say that whoever wants to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God, and 1 John chapter 2 verse 16 giving us a broader view of the things of the world to avoid, which are the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, also warning us of these things not being of the Father, but is of the world. To go on practicing these sinful behaviors and outright disobedience to God's laws then makes oneself to be the enemy of God, putting himself in the path of his coming judgment. It is true that God hates sin and will soon judge those lost in the shadows of its curse. Its reasons for him extending an olive branch of hope to them as stated in John chapter 3 verse 16, to save them that believe in the death and resurrection of the Christ through faith, leading to a change of mind and unto genuine repentance as stated in Romans chapter 10 verse 9. Romans chapter 5 verse 8 says that God clearly shows and proves his own love for us by the fact that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us, the one who shed his blood on the cross at Calvary, which was prophesied a little over 2,000 years ago. That same blood that would free the unrighteous from spiritual destruction through his soon coming judgment and wrath as laid out in Revelation chapter 20 verse 12, stating, "And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before God, and books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged according to their works by the things which were written in the books. The sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Hades delivered up the dead who were in them. And they were judged, each one according to his works. Then death and Hades were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death." It is so amazing how God is able to hate with such a perfect and holy hate towards unrighteousness, and at the same time continue to also maintain such a perfect love for the lost by demonstrating it through his only begotten Son, Jesus the Christ.